Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Quick update on GME. Maybe I get to AMC as well. Big thing is, I think something big is transpiring. I don't know which way exactly it's going to go based on just simply looking at this. But I think a big move is coming because the daily Bollinger Band is squeezing hard. Very, very hard, just like how it was squeezing over here. I think a big move is going to come within days. It could either be up or down based on just looking at Bollinger Band, right? But I have some reasons to believe the next move is going to be up. Basically, it's been doing nothing. You remember, like a couple weeks ago, I was telling you GME was going to do nothing for a couple weeks, and a couple weeks later, yeah, it did nothing, and now it looks like it's going to do something big. What is that something big? Well, could it be up? Could it be down? What are some of the support level or some of the resistance levels above? Let's talk about it. So the couple of things here to kind of pay attention to right now, price is underneath the 20-day moving average, and 20-day is pointing down. So it's going to be count against it. There's a potential for price to actually dump before going up. But there are also some other signs on a higher time frame that I think price could just potentially just kind of shoot up. I say that because overall it's been forming a lot of these higher highs over here compared to really over the last year or two. We are forming a little bit more of a bullish trend on a higher time frame. I'm going to show you some of the other indicators to tell you why that is. But because the 20-day moving average is pointing down, I am a little bit cautious. I wouldn't necessarily want to do any like super short-term calls or anything like that. But if you do, hey, high risk, high reward, whatever floats your boat, right? With the daily, you don't really have much of the whales coming in yet, but you do have a little bit of declining in retail over the last couple of weeks. Price just kind of consolidated sideways, but retail is kind of leaving a little bit slightly, right? So that's a little bit of a positive sign. If you look at the weekly chart, this is when things get really interesting. You have a decline of retail. You also have little slightly fluctuations here at the whales, but overall you have a decline of retail over here. This is significant because this is what I see before the Tesla pump. And if that turns out to be a very, very similar situation, I think that GME could potentially go up a lot higher, potentially. There are some concerns, though. One of the concerns is that if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, you can see that it's just kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere. So there's a potential for it to bounce from 20 or 19 or 18 before going up higher. There's always that possibility, and if it does that, that's still going to be a higher low compared to over here. And it's still going to be a bull trend, right? It doesn't have to go down to 20, 19, or 18. I just want to show you that as a possibility. Another thing too is if you look at the bull market support band, which includes the 20-week SMA and also the 21-week EMA, you can see that currently price is way above the bull market support band, but it's also pointing up. So it's going to be pretty decent support show it need it. And the band is currently anywhere around like from 18 to around 20. So that's going to be pretty decent support as well. A lot of confluence zone over there. Again, does prices go down there? Not necessarily. But show it need it does have support. Looking at the Super Ichi cloud, which is the Ichimoku cloud that takes into account the super trend, that tells you a little bit of a different picture. First of all, you had a bullish cross here late May of 2024 of the Tenkan crossing over the Kijun. And so far, price just been consolidating sideways for about 5 weeks, testing the Tenkan, the blue line over here, and so far finding pretty decent support, right? If it breaks down, how far it is going to go down, it could go down to around like 16, 17 range, somewhere around there. But before it gets down there, if it ends up doing that, you're going to get plenty of support, right? So you're talking about the downside risk maybe around like 20, 25%. This is kind of what you're talking about. Now, it does look like it wants to break back above the Super Ichi cloud. It's having a hard time doing so far, but it looks like it does want to do that. And again, the retail is kind of declining in strength, which is some of the pretty important things to look at. Now, you do have to pay attention. The weekly Bollinger Band is expanding, so this is going to allow room on the upper Bollinger Band to go up higher and for price to hit the upper Bollinger Band rather than just getting way above over here, which is unsustainable, getting all the way back down, right? Way up here, unsustainable, getting all the way back down. The upper Bollinger Band is expanding, and the 20-week moving average together with the bull market support band is pointing up. So the trend is up on the weekly. And all it really needs to, if it needs to go up just directly or it goes down and go up, to me, that's probably what's going to end up transpiring. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I have a feeling that it's probably just going to go up from here. just because of the way that the Super Ichi cloud is looking like it's finding pretty decent support, but could it break down and go up? Certainly a possibility. Overall, this is just consolidation because over the last 3 weeks, there's really no volume, as I expect there wouldn't be. Looking at the monthly, Wells never really left, even since the pump over here like 4 years ago. Wells never really left, can be completely honest. Like, they're still greater than 50%. One significant thing is over the last 3 months, you have declining on retail over here. This is also nothing to really sneeze at. It's not an insignificant event, right? And overall, you've just basically been forming 40-something inside candle to this big giant candle. What I mean by inside candle is the subsequent 40-something candle that's happened after this big giant green candle over here in January 2021. They're all engulfed by this green candle. So all it is right now with inside candle is generally when it breaks out of this range, you're going to end up having a continuation of the primary trend. What is the primary trend from that? The primary trend, because it's just formed a higher high and a higher low, the primary trend is up. This is a bull trend. This is very, very much a bull trend. So what are you going to expect after it doesn't consolidate? It might go down a little bit further, but I think the next trend is going to be up, right? What are some of the potential resistance about for the Tenkan in the Kitchen? You have the bullish cross over here, by the way, in May of 2024. And the Tenkan in the Kitchen, the blue line and the red line are fused right now. These are generally signs for trend change and potentially some powerful moving forward. But these lines could potentially also serve as resistance, right? So we're talking about maybe 37 or maybe the top of the cloud around 50. So 37 would be what, like around 50% increase. You're talking about the cloud over here like 50, where is that like 100% increase? So about 25% downside potential and about 50 to 100% upside potential based on looking at Ichimoku cloud. Right? That's kind of what we're looking at. Now you're looking at the Super Ichi clouds telling you very similar things. You got rejected over here, just like how the Ichimoku cloud initially got rejected over here, the cloud over here too, right? So these are nothing to really ignore. But if you look at Super Ichi cloud, again, where's the resistance going to be around 37, right? Around 50% up move, right? And the potential up move here on the top of the Super Ichi cloud, same thing, around 50, right? So these are some pretty important levels here to kind of pay attention to. There's a lot of confluence between different indicators. The Bollinger Band still hasn't expanded yet, though, so you're going to end up having to have more impulsive price action if you're really trying to stretch the Bollinger Band here on the monthly. The 20-month moving average is flattening. So this is generally what happens when you expect the trend change to happen, kind of like over here, right? The 20-month moving average down, 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 down. It starts to flatten over here, and price got above the 20-month moving average. And that's when you may expect potentially a bullish continuation coming over the next few months. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here so far. There's just a lot of similarities between this over here and this over here for me to ignore. Now, I just talked about the upside, downside. I share with you my thoughts on GME. I think it's going to do pretty decent. Let's move on to AMC. AMC has a completely different look to it, doesn't it? Look at the macro picture of AMC looking all the way back to like 2014, 2013. It's just formed a big higher low. And if you look at a bunch of indicators, it's basically telling you that overall in the long term, there's nothing bullish about this chart because you have the Tenkan, the blue line over here, just sloping all the way down, serving as resistance, right around $7, right? So that's going to be ongoing resistance here on the monthly, and on the monthly chart, these things are pretty powerful, right? That's resistance right there, and it's serving as resistance. You can see that as resistance. I don't have anything else to say. Until it breaks above, backtest go higher, this is still a macro bear trend, right? This is still a falling knife. That is what it is. I'm just going to call it what it is. Look in the Super Ichi cloud, same thing. Tenkan Kitchen look very, very bearish. You're going to have some resistance up here in 16 as well, right? So if you're looking at the Bollinger Band over here too, on the monthly, you also see the 20-month moving average is pointing way down. Right now is around 21. So that's also going to serve as resistance, right? You're talking about resistance at $7, $16, and 21. A lot of resistance. But you think about if those are resistance and price is currently like $5.50, you're talking about some pretty exponential gains over here on the short term if you want to trade AMC, but it would just be a trade. I would not necessarily enter it. One bullish development, there are a couple of bullish developments though for AMC that I do want to talk about. One bullish development is that you have increase in whale over the last 3 months. Again, I don't know whether or not this is a trend change because look over here, you just have basically a plummeting of whales. And right now you have maybe a little bit of a trend change over here for whalish momentum compared to what it was really over the last year, right? So that is a positive development. Another positive development is going to be shown on the weekly chart over here. The weekly chart over here is going to tell you, and I put up the Bollinger support band as well, is going to show you that you actually have a reclaiming of the Bollinger support band. And it price really kind of consolidated over here and actually is claiming it from resistance over here to support. This is also not a small development on the weekly chart. And because of that, I think currently, again, you're gonna have some resistance up here around $7 because of volume shelf, around like $8, around $9. You're gonna have some resistance up here on the volume shelf. But the key thing is that you are talking about a potential trend change here on the weekly. And on the weekly, you also have formed some higher highs compared to over here, right? And it might need to form a little bit of a higher low before going up further. Maybe this is it. Maybe it goes down lower back to like $4. Or maybe it just keeps on riding the upper Bollinger Band here on the weekly. It just keeps going up all the way up to maybe $7, which I expect maybe where you're going to end up having some more resistance. Currently, price just been consolidating sideways, hasn't done much. But look at the wellish momentum. It's just pretty significant over the last 3 months. Even though price just kind of consolidate, you have a lot of wellish momentum that are coming and the volume is declining. So a lot of bullish momentum is being built up here on a shorter time frame. If I'm to enter this, which I don't, but if I'm to enter AMC, I would be more looking forward to some of the shorter time frame trades rather than just hodling and just trying to hold it forever. I would not do that, but it is looking like a pretty decent setup on the short term. If you also are looking at the Ichimoku cloud, you can see it still has a lot of resistance here, $7 confluence, right? What's up here around 15, around 17, like you have a lot of kind of confluence over here in terms of resistance. Subishi cloud, same thing, $10, right? You see like a lot of these numbers, you're basically repeating them. But very similar to the Bollinger support band, you look at the Subishi cloud, very similar to the Bollinger support band, you're flipping this blue line over here, the Tenkan over here from resistance now to support. So I do think that short term there could be like just these 30% gain out of nowhere, and that would be nothing to sneeze at, but it's still a macro downtrend. So if you're in AMC, I do want you to be maybe a little bit more careful. None of this are financial advice, of course. You can do whatever you want with your money, of course, right? But these are just kind of things that I'm seeing. Now, when it comes to the daily chart, the clouds don't really serve as like strong resistance to support as far as I'm concerned. But you look at the daily chart, what is important to look at a couple things. One is the Bollinger Band is getting squeezier, just like GME, but it's not as squeezy as GME. GME is extremely squeezy, But AMC is also not unsqueezy too. It's also getting pretty squeezy, and currently is also kind of hitting the top of the Bollinger Band, and that's why price got rejected over here. Because the Bollinger Band hasn't expanded yet. It just couldn't keep going higher and higher. Look over here what happened when it went way up above the upper Bollinger Band, ended up getting just completely punished over here, right? In just a short amount of time. Can you imagine people getting bullish on like the double digits over here and bot over here? You'll be down like 50% right now, which would be unfortunate, right? But regardless, you have some bullish momentum here being built up in terms of wellish momentum here as well. So something big could potentially happen to both AMC and GME. If you ask my guess, I would think that it's probably going to be upside. It's probably going to be upside for AMC, for GME, most likely upside, but I can also see it potentially going up before going down. And those are just kind of my thoughts on these two stocks. I wish you the best luck, and I hope you enjoy this video. Come back for more if you want. Take care. Bye.